I'm not thinking that Kent County officers or even any police officers in general thought they had a license to go out and do something like this. I think this is not a message. This is just based on the facts. I'm making a decision on this case.
I know you've talked about having only 8 days since you've received the full investigation materials. I know you can't talk about what those materials were, but having all those, how were you able to make that decision in 8 days?
Well, I had a lot of the material. I mean, that was one big piece of the report, so I had a lot of it, so I was going over it, and like I said, I asked Detective Sergeant Tubergen to follow up on that, so I had a good chunk of it, so I knew what was going on. It wasn't like I was just starting from fresh 8 days ago, so this was just kind of, okay, I got the final thing, and it is a process in our office. I mean, this is, it's my decision ultimately, but I've consulted with, attorneys in my office, I've consulted with attorneys outside my office, I've consulted with people I respect, so, I think I've done everything I could to be as thorough, and it's, Scripture says that decisions are, best made when they're made in kind of in a group, and I tried to do that.
What do you think the reaction is going to be from people out there on the streets hearing this news?
I think it's going to be, I think it's split, to be honest with you. I mean, I think there's been this, I think the general consensus is I think there's a huge amount of community pressure that thinks I should charge, and if I don't charge, something's going to happen. But I mean, literally, just before I came over here, I got an email from somebody saying, I don't think you should charge. So there's a lot of people that think that this should not be charged. And so I'm very mindful of that. I hope the public reflects the care and concern I took. This was not a quick or a decision I took lightly, and so we'll see how the public reacts.
What can you tell us about the role that Taser played and what that report said regarding?
Not much. You're up for two. I mean, not much. I mean, obviously, we've seen the video. The Taser obviously played a role. That's why I was waiting for that forensic report. So it played a major role that I wanted to be sure what I was seeing, reflected, it was in that report. So I can say that, but how that plays out, it was a major piece. That's about all I can say, I guess.
Can you talk about how thorough your office was? Because, again, this happened back on April 4th, and we went to the community were basically saying, charge for talking. But you guys, took your time before you decided to make a decision.
I mean, I think we try and be thorough all the times, and that's one of the things I try and tell any new assistant prosecutor that starts in this office. The charging decision is the biggest decision made, because right now, that name's out there. And whatever happens, that name's going to be out there in media searches and everything else, so we got to be careful every time. So in thoroughness, yeah, we wanted to get all the reports, look at all the evidence, follow up. We don't, rare in a case like this is we just get a report and, okay, make a decision. There's a lot, and officers, you're not, it was like, is there an officer over there? No. The officers will say, that we're, hey, go follow up on this. It's rare that we don't do that. So that's what we try and do in making a decision, because we know this is a major step that can't be taken back. I mean, they could ultimately be found not guilty, and that would happen, but that's still, they got to go through this process, so we try and do as thorough a job as we can.
Given the elements and the circumstances of this case, and I asked this to the chief the day he released the videos, is this Michigan's version of George Floyd?
I'll let for the media to decide. I'm not going to make that call. I'll leave it up to you.
I had a question about the video release. Before the video was released, you had said that you were worried about it potentially affecting jurors' view of what happened, but also potentially altering the recollections of witnesses. So, two-part question, did you encounter that at all with witnesses in the investigation, and do you still have that concern about potential jurors?
I definitely still have the concern, because obviously it's going to make jury selection, I'm always amazed when you get to a jury selection when you have a major media case and how people don't. They're like, I haven't heard of it, I kind of remember it. I think that's not going to be quite the case here. So everybody's going to have seen it, so I think that will be an issue, no question. In terms of altering, it's hard to tell. I mean, I think I do have some concerns, and I could probably discuss those a little bit more after this is all done, if you file that away for whenever this case gets done, because I think there is at least one area that it did, but beyond that, it's hard to tell what. We got most of the witnesses before that was released, so I think that's helped, but I think there may be some concerns.
Mr. Prosecutor, are you going to handle this case yourself, or are you going to handle
I am, yeah.
We'll take one more question.
I know you had said you're not big on sending messages and talking about law enforcement, but what message do you feel like this sends to the community?
I hope it sends that we take these cases seriously. I mean, I think, and I go out and speak, it's nothing different than I said before in public, is that everybody thinks, the prosecutors are essentially an arm or just a branch of the police. And we're not. We are our own entity. We have a duty to enforce the law, be it on police or the public. And there's very often, we disagree on cases, we disagree on things that happen. We're a separate entity, and our duty is public safety. We work a lot with them, but we don't work for them. And I think law enforcement in Kent County understands that. We understand that. And so that's, hopefully the public takes that and understands that and maybe dissuades, some of the stereotypes that we've been seeing over the past couple months.
Thank you.
One more quick one. I'll give him one more quick one.
In the range of options that you had, is this second-degree murder at the top?
Yes.
Anything above that?
I mean, the only thing above second-degree murder is first-degree murder, and there's not a sufficient basis. Premeditation, deliberation just weren't there. So, okay.